5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
It is my understanding that human males take pride in their sexual organs.
So, on September 13th, 1999, all the nuclear waste that we've been storing on the moon explodes in one humongous eruption, everyone dies, and the moon is blasted from the Earth's orbit. End of video, roll credits. Well, not quite. What happens when someone attempts to make lightning strike twice? Or, more relevantly, what happened when ITC and RAI tried to create basically their own version of Star Trek? The result was broadcast from 1975 to 1977, Space 1999. The basic premise was laid out in the opening title scenes. Humanity in 1999 had established a lunar base, but was dumping nuclear waste at depositories on the dark side of the moon. As researchers and scientists prepared to launch a deep space probe to a nearby solar system, magnetic radiation buildup from the nuclear waste began to have an effect on the pilots training over the waste sites. Meanwhile, that same magnetic buildup continued until it reached a critical mass and...
Main mission to all Eagles. Return to base immediately. Repeat, return to base immediately.
This leaves Commander John Koenig, Dr. Helena Russell, Professor Victor Bergman, and the rest of the Alphans alone to their fate. The moon is thrown out of Earth's orbit and begins a journey across the cosmos with the people of Moonbase Alpha looking for a new place to call home. Space 1999 was one of the big three, specifically science fiction TV series, that really brought the genre out to the general public. The others being, of course, Star Trek in 1966 to 1969, and the original Battlestar Galactica, which ran from 1978 to 1979, with a remake in 1980 and a rebooted series running from 2003 to 2009. Space 1999 was the last to be produced by the prolific production team of Jerry and Sylvia Anderson, and at the time it was the most expensive television series to be produced in Great Britain up to that time. Jerry Anderson had his roots quite deep in the marionette productions of the late 1950s through the 1960s, and in fact some of the sound effects used for some of these shows were recycled for Space 1999. The series ran for 2 seasons and starred Martin Landau and his wife Barbara Bain, along with Barry Morse in the first season, and Catherine Schell in the second season. The series ran for a total of 48 episodes. However, after the series survived cancellation, the second season was vastly different from the first season, and these changes were mostly panned by pretty much everyone. Here are some of the differences. Look at these views of the command center. In Season 1, the set involved a large bank of wall readouts and such, along with a large window and an upper level, with another large window. Whites, blacks, and beiges were pretty much all over the place, giving the set a somber, serious tone. The costumes worn by the Alpha personnel were likewise white or beige, with minimal differences between them. In Season 2, they got rid of the upper deck of the command center. The areas made much more enclosed, much smaller, but with more colors. Also, the costumes were spruced up with more colors added to them. What happened was that Season 1 was entirely done in the vein of most other British television tastes. It was a serious show, therefore the tone was serious. The pacing was a bit slow and there was a lot of standing around, but the stories were generally good, even if some of them featured a monster of the week. Both the positive and negative commentary about the show's first season, as reported by Wikipedia, was correct. The show was very beautifully rendered, and the show had the aesthetic feel of 2001: A Space Odyssey. However, some of the acting was kind of stilted or wooden. All of the slow pacing threatened the show in areas outside of Great Britain. The only way that the show would be greenlit for a second season would be if massive changes were made. The visual look I just mentioned was only one of the many changes made to make the show more enjoyable to American audiences who favored a more action-oriented theme. This new theme can be seen even in the opening credits, where each of the 3 stars were seen in some sort of action or moving scene. The music was jazzed up, more sci-fi gadgetry was used, and the sets were made more colorful, and the overall tone was made quicker and more action-oriented. They also added a new character in the form of the shape-shifting Maya, played by Catherine Schell, a woman who joined the Alphans after the destruction of her planet. Also added was Security Chief Tony Verdeschi, and in perhaps a nod to Rai, the show's Italian production company, although Rai bowed out of the second season. Most of these changes pissed off people across the board. Barry Morse, the actor portraying Professor Victor Bergman, walked away from the show, citing differences with the series creators, a salary dispute, and saying, quote, "I'd rather play with Grumps for a while," unquote. The new tone also pissed off Martin Landau, who said,
"I knew Commander Koenig. I understood him, and in the second year, he did things he should never have done to accommodate a story point in the script. I used to fight over that. I said, this is wrong." We'd have meeting.
Also not happy was series producer Sylvia Anderson, who basically thought that the show went off the rails in the second season and had nothing to do with the production after season 1. Sylvia probably should not have gone. Had she stuck it out and provided a counterbalance to Jerry Anderson, the show might have gone on for a few more seasons. However, once she jumped the ship, the producers brought in Fred Freiberger as a co-producer. Freiberger had just got done killing off Star Trek in its original 3rd season, and he would go on to first put the nails into Space 1999 before going on to assassinate the $6 Million Man. Space 1999 is still a very good series, and there are fans of both seasons. Myself, I find that I can watch episodes from each. Of course, the premiere episode is very good, but also Force of Life, War Games, Black Sun, Matter of Life and Death, Earthbound, which has one of the spookiest endings in science fiction.
Huh? Hello? This is Commissioner Simmons, returning home. Can you hear me?
It's down to on you. You must have known.
No. Well, evidently Simmons didn't give him a chance to make a matrix for his computer.
It soon becomes apparent to the commissioner that the suspended animation process has not worked, and he is left to one of the scariest fates imaginable.
Koenig! Can you hear me, Koenig? You've got to help me! Koenig, this hasn't worked! You've got to help me! Send someone to get me, Koenig! Koenig, help me!
There's nothing we can do.
So in this episode, Commissioner Simmons realizes that he is essentially useless. No one on Alpha needs a politician to do anything. They're all concentrating on survival. So he wants to go home, and when he is not simply given the opportunity, he forces the issue, to the point where the aliens are not properly able to prepare his sleeping chamber to put him into suspended animation for the trip to Earth. So it is basically a politician acting like a politician that gets him killed. And then there is the almost Twilight Zone-ish finale. There is something to be said for patience.
John, who did the computer finally choose?
Simmons.
And The Last Enemy. In Season 2, the best episodes would be The Metamorph, The Exiles, The Beta Cloud, A Matter of Balance, and the 2-part episode The Bringers of Wonder. With all the attention given to other sci-fi series, this one is often left in the dust, which is unfortunate. Space 1999 was one of the inspirations for people to begin to take science fiction seriously on television, and very possibly this helped lead to the successes of other sci-fi franchises in the future.